run of the day go?
Splendid! Right on time, dry rails, and smooth running.
Too much running, you might say.
All that speeding up Selgrove Hills has made me feel giddy.
Not to mention a speedy ride for the passengers.
Don't worry, I tried to keep my passengers comfortable as much as I can.
Hello again, slow coach. Better hurry if you're going to catch me.
Oh no! Here we go again!
Later, Casey!
Oh, see ya, Thomas.
Come on, Thomas. You'll need to go fast if you want to make this best 2 out of 3.
See you at the hills, birdie.
Why do you always have to rush up here? Your passengers will be cross about this.
What? Oh, excellent! 5 minutes early and 15 minutes till MilanToon. Thank you kindly, Thomas. I'll let you off this time, but don't go playing that kind of stuff with the next train. It was exciting for me, but not so much for the other passengers. Toodaloo! Right then, Thomas. Up for another race?
Not at the moment. I've got to get back to doing work properly. Maybe another day. Bye, birdie!
Goodbye then, Thomas.
Morning, Tough Pete. Goodness, you seem positively winded this morning. Where's all that going?
Oh, it isn't really that much, Toby. Just this load from Grufflin Harbour going over to the freight yard. Anyway, what are you up to, Toby?
Oh, nothing much, actually. Taking workmen down to the city, some rocks from the quarry up to the harbour, and this load from the mines up to... where was it again? Oh yes, the marshalling yard. Those shunters need their coal, you know.
Super! Good to know we're getting good loads of the day. Oh, if you see Puffle, can you ask him if he's on his way to the freight yard now with those trucks in the yard? Slow down, you Oh dear! We'd better go after him. Hey, Toby!
Sure thing. We'll leave our loads here and come back for them later.
Hold on, Puffle!
Okay, Puffle, whatever you do, don't crash. I said don't crash. Don't.
Excuse me, but have you seen the Carville shunter around here? The locomotive should be fetching my express coaches for the 11:45 train.
Well, you're looking at him. Hey, Gordon. I'm taking over Puffle's shift while he's taking a goods train down to Grufflin Harbour. Besides, someone has to look after another's job.
You do have a point there, but not all things can be easy like shunting coaches for one's passenger run. For all the express is an important job for an important engine like the very Doncaster you're looking at.
You're one to talk. Anyway, you seem to pique someone's curiosity, Gordon, as I am tempted to know what it feels like to pull such an impressive train full of travelers from all around the world.
And what a fancy train this is, my dear Casey. The Express, an example of elegance on the rails. Miles of the railway's finest coaches racing along the lines with a fine big engine in front. Like me, he pulls like a bullet train on the line, ensuring that the...
Yeah, I know the deal. Expresses are the big fancy trains that only stop at the big important stations. And the locals are the ones that go to all the stations on the line, blah, blah, blah-de-blah, blah. We're all so happy in the end.
You watch your mouth there. Not to sound repulsive or anything, but I think that a circus locomotive, such as yourself, should be better off pulling a train down the rubbish and recycling yard. Now go and fetch my coaches.
Hey, is that my train seat, Junior?
Yep, all ready to go down to Selbrev City.
Pete, wait!
Hey, what's the matter, Gordon?
You're taking my coaches.
Whoa, wait a minute. If I'm taking your coaches, who's gonna take my cars then?
Casey Jr., why would you go and do that?
You didn't say where to bring your coaches, Gordon. Sayonara.
Oh, the indignity.
Welcome to Crotoonian Shoots, the program in which we see the railways of Crotoonia in all of its raw wonder. Hold on to your hard hats, because today we're going to look around BASELINE QUARRY.
bound for the quarry today! Open these a bit, boys! That limits.
Hey, Pete. What's up?
Oh, morning, Tillie. These trucks are needed at Cliffstone Mountain Quarry urgently, but these little buggers are living up to that name. Timothy's waiting to collect them at BASELINE QUARRY.
Would you like me to take them there for you?
Not too sure. There's still lots of shunting to do here in the yards today.
Please? I'm up for the challenge.
Well, all right, if you're sure. I'll go and get Rosie to help while you're gone. Take care with this lot, Tillie. They're not called troublesome trucks for nothing.
Ah! So
Don't worry about me, Pete. I'm always up for a challenge. Hello, Edward.
Hello, Tillie. Do you need help with those troublesome trucks?
No, thank you, Edward. Nearly there. Nearly there.
All right, boys, cue. Hold back. Hold back.
Oh, no, you don't. There goes above the beam. There goes above the beam. That's better.
That must be... Whoa! Tillie, did those give any trouble to your hole?
No trouble at all, Timothy. They were very well behaved.
Wow! You're a natural at pulling troublesome trucks, Tillie. If only I was as good as you.
Thank you, Timothy.
Now let's get these trucks over to the siding.
Casey Jr. is a small tender engine who works mixed traffic services on the railways of Crotoonia. He's a smart little engine who knows his way around the railway after working on it for many years. Oh no! Though he is prone to getting into a few scrapes every now and then. One day, he was delivering a train of fuel and coal to the Crotoonian yards of the Dreamfleet Railway Company, one of the many railway companies that work the country's railways. Big Old Rusty, Dreamfleet's oldest steam engine, was arriving with a load of empties. He had just delivered a load of slates from the quarry all the way up to the docks in Crotoonia Bay.
Hey there, C. Junior. How's things?
Pretty good. Just brought over some stuff for your fuel tanks and coal hoppers.
Oh, now that's a relief. You came right in time. We're just a quarter hopper away from being empty.
Good to hear then. Say, where's Tracy?
Tracy, the little shunting engine that worked the yards, who was usually upbeat and cheery, wasn't feeling very well. She'd overworked herself in the hot sun, and, as a result, had overheated her boiler, which was electrically heated instead of using coal or wood to burn.
Oh, sorry, Tracy, but you'll have to go to the works in Colville for repairs. We just can't let you risk your boiler bursting working with all those cars and coaches.
But, sir, who's going to take my mail train? The villagers need to get their packages and letters delivered on schedule.
Casey Jr. rolled up to the workman and Tracy. He had an idea.
Hey, sir! What if I took Tracy's mail train tonight?
You, Casey Jr.? Are you sure?
Sure as sure can be, sir. I just have a goods train to take to the docks at Groflin, so I can work her train later tonight.
Okay, if you're sure. I'll let the mail depot supervisor and Miss Ella know.
Workman called Miss Ella about the plan, which she approved, and the same went for the manager of the mail depot. Casey Jr. took his cars to the harbor and headed back to the sheds for a power nap.
Nighttime can be very busy for the few engines who have jobs throughout the night. There's passengers to take home past the station in Norfolk, and freight to go to the factories, towns, and big ships at the harbor. The busiest type of train at night in Crotoonia is the mail train. These trains take special coaches and wagons called mail cars, where the mail is loaded on and sorted en route to their destinations, sometimes traveling by air or road. Casey Jr. was soon at the mail depot, where his wagons and loaded packages were waiting. Edward was also there, helping Johnny with the mainline mail trains.
Evening, Casey.
Evening, Edward. How's things?
Not bad. Mainline traffic's been the same for me. I take it you're taking over for Tracy?
Yep, I'm taking her mail cars all the way down to... where exactly am I taking the mail wagons?
I figured you'd ask that. You're to take all the mail from here to Cliffstone Junction, take care of the mail on the mountain branch lines, and drop off your train at Crotoonia Bay Station to let the other postal vehicles and the Pinewood Island mail engines complete the last little bit of work.
Sure thing. Drop off to Cliffstone Junction. Mail for the mountain branch, final stop at the mountains? You sure that's the right place to take them? Because the branch lines have really narrow lanes and really huge cliffs and are really high up in the river.
Calm down, Casey. You're not frightened of the mountains, are you?
Oh, of course not. I go on them all the time. It's the branch lines I'm worried about. Those rickety rails and tight cliffs make me nervous without a clear view.
Well, imagine it's like the main line, and it should be better. Goodbye, Casey Jr. Good luck.
Okay. Thank you.
Men moved quickly to ship the parcels, packages, and letters into Casey Jr.'s mail wagons. They were larger than Tracy's usual wagons, so they could fit a little more into them. Finally, the cars were loaded, and Casey Jr. was on his way. Casey Jr. slowly made his way up the line, a little worried about what would come later on. Soon made his first stop at Cliffstone Junction. Porters and workmen hurried to load and unload the mail for the towns near the stations and beyond the station. Then they set off for the first loop line, which ran from the junction, through the mountain, and up to the town of Rotoslopia. Casey Jr. soon made it to the first big slope. The track was rather steep, and there was little elbow room in the cliffs that surrounded it. It was tough to roll up the mountain at first, but Casey Jr. wasn't willing to give up just yet.
Alright, give it everything we've got. Let's go. I think. Come on, let's go. Come on. I know.
At last, after much pulling and much straining, he was finally at the top of the hill.
Finally!
Casey Jr. felt much more confident. He didn't feel like slowing down now, imagining himself along the main line as Edward suggested. If only at the worst possible time. Casey, slow down! You're headed straight for me! Rattling rivets! What happened to you, Glazy Jr.?
Sorry, Pete. I didn't know you were coming down the hill. I was going down so fast. It was hard to see you at the bottom.
First time out with a late night mail run, eh? Well, I can't say it was perfect on me first night run, but I did learn a thing or two from me mistakes. You can't be too confident or too underconfident about working in a new way or with a new job. You just have to go in there and do your best, no matter what. That's what I've learned, at least.
Thanks, Pete.
You're welcome, C. Junior. Right, time to get going.
Pete! Where's that crate going?
Oi! What crate?
Oh, the one on your last flatbed.
I still don't know what you're rattling rivets! That crate's supposed to be at the docks! It's a specially ordered load of paving stones for a customer in the UK! The ship's leaving at sunrise!
Let me take it for you. I'm on my way to the docks anyway.
Oh, thank you, Goisey Jr. You're a real saint.
Soon, Casey Jr.'s conductor loaded the crate onto his first mail coach, and quickly Casey Jr. puffed away to finish up the mail run. The docks the crate was heading to was at Crotoonia Bay, at the very end of the Crotoonian main line. He knew he had a lot more stops to do, so he put on full steam and got to work as fast as his wheels could let him. He wasted no time getting his other work done. There was some for the manager of Cliffstone Center Quarry, where Speedy, Bill, and Ben worked. A little bit for the manager of the logging camps. A little bit for Rotostopia Junction. A little bit for the Steelworks in Bluthsburg. A little bit for Boston. A bit for the search and rescue team. A little bit for his home in Colville Junction. Until at last he was at Crotoonia Bay Junction. The yards were already booming when he got there, and the Pinewood Island mail train and Johnny were waiting for him, ready to depart.
Hey, C. Junior. Where are you heading to?
Delivery for the dock. Back in a bit.
Okay, see you later.
And after everything was done, Casey Jr. brought the crate over to the docks ready for shipping. He caught it in good time, too. The ship was completing its final loading procedures, and the crane wasted no time getting it on board. Later that morning, Sir Alan Featherington, head of operations on the railways of Crotoonia, sent a message for Big Tim to deliver to Casey Jr. Hey, Casey! Got a message from Sir Alan! You seemed to do a good thing last night, bringing that special delivery back to the docks for Pete and sticking to your mail schedule on record time. So much so, he's taking you with him on an important trip to Boston for the weekend. He'll book you tours, a shed, and everything. Isn't that exciting? Casey, you doing okay, buddy? But he didn't get an answer. He was so tired from all the rushing around that he'd fallen fast asleep.
Somebody get this freaking duck away from me!
Thomas and Tracy enjoy helping out at the Bluthsburg Steelworks. They love visiting their friends Phoebe and Ralph and giving them much-needed help. Ralph has constantly kept busy running the manager about and shifting ladle cars into place, while Phoebe takes on long journeys to Bluthsburg West Junction and beyond. But the yard had many orders to fill for the next few weeks, and even the extra 2 engines weren't enough to keep things running. That was when Diesel, Airy, and Bert came in. Diesel was in charge of the docks at Crotoonia Bay, while Airy and Bert had been brought in from the Sodor Ironworks for a period. Together, the engines had a known reputation for pranks and mischief-making around other engines. They arrived one busy morning. Thomas and Tracy were arranging a freight train for Big Tim to bring out when they oiled into the main yard. "Hello, Puffball," said Airy. "So the big old steelworks can handle with a teapot on rails? Figured they'd send for some modern diesels to help with the extra workload." "You'd be modern 70 years ago," quipped Ralph. "Now, as manager's diesel of the Bluthsburg Steelworks, we're gonna need you to—" "And a rusty matchbox on wheels for a boss. Boy, you really need proper diesels around here," Bert greasily chirped. "Why, you? All right," said Phoebe coolly. "Now that we've gotten to know each other, let's get to work. Diesel, dockyard deliveries. Airy and Bert, you're working the pier.
and she confidently went back to the steelwork shed to work. The diesels did prove to help out a little bit, but many problems soon arose with their presence. They shoved trains into the wrong sidings, took any chance they got to make fun of or play tricks on Ralph and Tracy, and Diesel would bump Thomas or take the right of way from him. Altogether, the three engines were gradually getting fed up with the diesel's trickery. Phoebe, on the other hand, wasn't particularly bothered. No matter what prank she got, she took it all in stride. "Thank you for arranging my freight cars, Harry," she said to him after getting bumped with freight cars. "I really needed the washdown, Bert," she said when shunted while taking on water. "Your brakes need checking," she said when bumped by Diesel. All in all, the freight engine was proving to be very tough to break. And Diesel and his cronies were more determined than ever to push her to the edge. Next morning, Thomas and Phoebe were sent to Selgreb City with a heavy freight train. They were to be transferred to another train heading out for Pennsylvania in the afternoon. "Make sure to mind yourselves while we're gone," puffed Phoebe. "And mind yourselves if you have to go through Bluthsburg West." "Huh," said Diesel. "We can handle that yard easily." And determined to prove they were capable, he requested that he, Harry, and Bert be coupled to the next train heading out through there. "There's a 12 o'clock express to go to Boston, but you'd better watch out there. It'll be rush hour." But the Diesels weren't thinking or listening. They were too busy thinking how clever they were to realize what they were getting themselves into. Nor had they been paying attention to the freight cars in the yard. "Who are they to boss us around, punting us like footballs around the yards? This is Phoebe's yard, and Ralph's too. Let's teach him a lesson, boys." The Diesels were soon on their way with their heavy freight train. Although advised by the conductor to take at the very least a transfer caboose, they chose to take it as a triple header. The Diesels on the other railways have no trouble hauling it all at the front with no van, so why should we worry? But they had forgotten that Diesels on the other railway have special devices to minimize the usage of brake vans and cabooses. Bluthsburg West is a very dangerous yard for a careless engine. There's few signals located throughout it, and engines must take care and pay close attention when entering or exiting the yards. Engines must always be prepared to give off 4 short whistles to alert the signalman in the control tower that they are there. But Diesel and the twins hadn't bothered to remember. They just hurried through the tunnel to the junction. The car's chance had come. "On! On! On!" they yelled, and with a mighty shove, the cars took the Diesels by surprise and surged the speeding engines into the junction. The signalmen were shocked and put in a full-on panic, frantically trying to avoid a collision. 2 mainline Diesels nearly hit them at the entrance, they almost hit Callie at an intersection, and Douglas nearly lost his tender. "Phew," said Diesel, "we're home free now." But they weren't. They hadn't accounted for Alea, a little shunting engine who was pushing a line of freight cars to go to Groffman Harbor. She was entering the main line. "Oh no!" screamed Diesel as he shut his brakes hard on. Then, disaster struck. Diesel was on his side next to the crash, dazed, confused, and bruised. Some of Alea's cars had been thrown right off the track, and with Harry and Bert derailed on the switch, no one from the main line could get into the junction. "Hang on!" shouted Alea. "I'll fetch a crane and send for a few others!" By the time the mess was cleared, Phoebe and Thomas were returning from their big run. Phoebe was a little bit entertained from the debacle. "Well, well, well, 3 Diesels too big for their buffers couldn't manage steel cars, eh?" Diesel was fuming. "Well, if you treat wagons and engines like that, then it's gonna bite you in the tail lamp," she said firmly. "Right, shall we try and haul these cars to the yards?" "If it helps a bit," said a tired but still willing Thomas. It took some time to tidy up the mess, but soon everything was put right again, and Thomas and Phoebe hauled away the wagons to Boston. What about Diesel, Larry, and Bert? Well, it wasn't long before the Culver Works set them back up and running again. But they don't mess with steel cars anymore, because they know they'll try to bite back.
Welcome to Crotoonian Shoots, the program in which we see the railways of Crotoonia in all of its raw wonder. For today's journey, we'll be taking you through the beautiful junction of Great Wolf Forest. Every so often on the Crotoonian railways, engines will be sent to work in unfamiliar places. It was on one of these occasions that Thomas was sent away from his branch line to help with a project up in the hills. There was a new depot being built high on the Cliffstone Mountains. The Crotoonian Construction Company had called for a spare shunting engine, being that Brewster, one of the company engines, was having his monthly checkup. The depot was near the village of Cliffstone Valley, which was reached by a steep, narrow line only accessible by smaller engines like Thomas and Tillie. When Thomas arrived at the site, there was a lot of work going on. Buildings needed roofing, track was being laid, and there was a lot of building materials lying around and waiting for further use. Jack, the front loader, and Scoop, the backhoe digger, were shifting dirt and rubble from new foundations when Thomas whistled in.
Hi, Thomas!
Hi, Jack! And I believe you're Scoop, right?
You got it. Straight from Bobsville. And Sunflower Valley. And Fixham. And Spring City.
I take it you've been around then.
Me and Bob's team certainly have.
Good morning. Pleased to make your acquaintance, Thomas. I'm Bob.
Oh, wow! Hi! No need for introductions. I've already heard so much about you, Bob. All good things, of course.
Well, I would hope so. You can tell me more later. Right now, we have a big assignment ahead of us.
Oh, yes! What will I be doing?
You will be working with Isabella and Packer to pick up and drop off materials for the site. And the forklift will be loading them up and collect all the spares we send back down.
Sure, no problem. It'll be nice to work with a new friend.
I'm sure Packer feels the same way. Just don't get too dusty or whip up too much smoke, you two. You know how I am about me paint.
Don't worry, Izzy. It's only containers and pipes and things.
How many times have I told you, Packer? It's Isabella, not Izzy.
Oh, what's wrong with Izzy anyway? Isabella's so long. Takes forever to struggle through.
It's undignified. That's what's wrong with it.
Thomas couldn't help but smile. He was glad to know the pack was getting along with their new friends. After a fashion, anyway. There were crating materials for the station, piping materials for plumbing, and supplies like fuel and spare parts of the machines to be delivered first.
I found out a long time ago. Gotta learn to say yes when life says no. Don't dwell on the bad times once they're past. That kind of thing can get you nowhere fast. 'Cause there ain't no mountain you can't climb. If you hang on tight, you just make up your mind. Once you set your heart to moving on, son, there ain't no road to go.
Alright guys, stop messing around. Come on,
And when he got back, Thomas found a lot more machines working around the yard.
You need some cement over here? Don't worry, I'm on it.
Poetry in motion.
He was so fascinated by all the machines and work going on that Thomas started wishing he could do more.
I wish I could help with a bit of the building. Maybe I can. With the help of one of those breakdown cranes, I can definitely transport this load on my own.
Meanwhile, Lofty the Crane was shifting an important roofing section for the station building. The roads were packed while Rolly and Buster the steamrollers were working, so he had to ride along the railway line, which was dangerously close to the edge of the valley.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Just a little further on the road and we should be at the site.
Come on, hurry up. I gotta get my axles greased. So do I. I'll be done faster than you. I'm the better build after all. We'll see about that.
Max! Monty! Get back here! The road's not cleared!
Oh, no, you don't.
Okay, nearly at the...
No, 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 no! Oh!
What happened here?
I'm so sorry. I just wanted to help with the building process, so I thought I'd try to deliver some of these furnishings on my own, and...
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that was your job. Be that as it may, Dizzy, now's not the time for playing the blame game. We need to figure out how to get that load back up. I got it! We could get Gripper to help. His cable is really long, and he's got a winch. You're right. Unfortunately, right now, he's helping out at the Crotoonia Bay docks. Oh, bother! Well, now what are we gonna do?
If only we had something long enough to reach out to the end of the valley.
But where would we find that?
I got it!
Got what, Thomas?
An idea! Look, I did something incredibly silly and messed up. I'd like a chance to correct that mistake. So, may I have permission to go off-site?
Sure, but why?
You'll see soon, Bob. I promise. We could build this scaffolding into a jib. We can hook a winch onto it and use it like an old-fashioned pulley crane to get the crate.
That's a brilliant idea, Thomas. Good thinking.
Thanks, Wendy.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get to work. Can we fix it?
Yes, we can!
Yeah, I think so. Assembling the contraption was no problem for Bob and Wendy, but bringing it up was another story. With the hoist fitted onto Isabella and Packer, and with the magnet hooked onto Thomas's winch, it would all require teamwork to get the job done. The container was stuck on a very awkward point of the valley. Lofty's magnet made it easy to collect it, but bringing it up would be the ultimate test.
Is everybody ready?
Ready to work.
Time to go to the rescue.
Thomas is ready.
All right then. Let's get this show on the road!
It was a lot harder to pull a container from off the ground than pulling it on a wagon, but Thomas didn't stop. He kept heaving the container up.
I just hope the arm holds.
Wait for it! Now, Isabella! Now!
Well done, all of you!
Woohoo! We did it! Hooray!
Boy, that sure was a heave.
I didn't even get my paintwork dirty. Go figure.
Splendid job, team! And a special thank you to Thomas. You were very creative with figuring out a solution to the problem. I'll be certain to thank your controller for sending over some reinforcements.
But I'm not really all that, am I? I caused this whole mess, and all because I took up a job before asking.
Well, true, but you fixed your mistake and learned from it, I trust?
Oh yes, of course. Next time, I will definitely ask before taking up a job, even if it looks really cool.
Then that's all that matters. At the end of the day, you are a really cognitive tank engine.
That evening, Thomas went back to the sheds to tell his friends all about the day's adventures. What's more, he had learned a valuable lesson in the importance of correcting his mistakes. As Bob and his friends taught him, with a bit of creativity and teamwork, no problem is too big to solve together.
Shut up! You're not the only one in this highway, pal. Who do you think you are anyway, Sir Topham Hatt? Oh, you are. Carry on then. Need a cheesel, Blake? Why not? Hey, yo, Grumpyman, turn that off.
Crooked cucumbers. They've been playing the same song every 20 minutes. It'd be easier if someone didn't jam a CD in my 8-track player.
I thought it would fit.
Hey, Mr. G. 1965 called. They want their old junk back.
Look, it may be vintage, but it's serviceable. Certainly more so than those laser discs or whatever high-tech garbage you kids are using these days.
I gotta agree with Meg. I'm 2,000 years old, and that thing is pretty dated.
No one ever complained about my stuff before.
Oh, these mountains are gonna be perfect! There's restaurants and parks and waterfalls and...
Not to mention the resort itself. Wave pools and lazy rivers and a ropes course.
This vacation's gonna be great! Sleeping out under the stars, roasting some marshmallows.
Homestar, this isn't a camping trip. It's a business trip.
But I have all these marshmallows. Why didn't you tell me earlier?
I told you at least 12 times.
Well, I'm just glad to spend the weekend not cleaning soot out of a clanking steamer smokestack. What kind of convention we going to again?
I told you, this is a very important convention for the railway... what? Thank you. Mr. Grumpy, Station Master of Selgrub Central speaking, currently on vacation, so if you could kindly...
That you? Oh, thank heaven, I've been trying to reach you for hours. I got the rooms checked in and everything for us, but I've been hoping you guys would be here by now. I prepared a wonderful luncheon of sandwiches and fries in the sweet...
Hey, yo, Duckman! If this was so important, why didn't you just drive us over? I mean, you're the head of the freaking railway board. Don't you got like a party bus or something?
Well, actually, after that whole accident with Gordon, Montana, and Farnsworth, I had to cover some of the budget cuts.
Hey, look! The traffic is moving.
Oh, wow! All right, thank the God. Let's get out of here.
Oh, there he goes. Like a football across the 50-yard line.
No, it's okay. I'm all right, guys. Don't everybody help at once.
Oh, of course it goes out now. Oh, what was that, the tire? Oh, come on.
So, is it a bad time to say that I sold a spare tile for these marshmallows?
I should have taken Tommy's offer and going there.
This feels weird.
Mike was cross. The thin controller had assigned him to ballast duties for being naughty, and Mike hated being stuck at the mines all day. He found it rather boring. One morning, Mike arrived at Chipperton Wharf with a loaded train of ballast. He saw Duncan, who was getting his train loaded. "Morning, Mike. What's up?" "I feel overworked. That's what's up," huffed Mike. "I've been going up and down the line all day, stuck with the ballast trains, and all because I burst a safety valve and started an elderly woman." Duncan pondered for a moment. "You know, if I was on your wheels, I would have probably taken a break up on the coast at Birmingham. You know, have the ocean breeze in your face. Your line does run up there after all." And with that, Duncan set off for the quarry. This gave Mike an idea. All that week, Mike tried everything to sneak off to Birmingham. He tried to sneak ballast cars and lumber cars out as a construction delivery. He tried to run off light engine on his own and even begged the yard manager to let him go there. At last, he finally got a job on the resort end of the line, but not the one he had hoped for. "An express train needs to be arranged at the Swahili Water Park Resort for a group of tourists. I need you to bring them some couches so they have enough for the train to carry them." "Yes, sir," said Mike, but he had a plan. Mike knew of one carriage that had a faulty coupler pin on it, so he coupled that to the front of his train. As he trundled out with 5 heavy covered carriages, he felt the pin push against him as he went downhill. "Not yet," he said. "We've got to wait until we reach the resort." As he approached the resort station, Scott the express tank engine was waiting for Mike's extra coaches. As he pulled into the platform, he put his plan into motion. With the pin loosened enough, left on the platform were the carriages for the train, and off went Mike. "What the?" said Scott.
"Slow down, Mike,"
said his driver.
"We just passed by the station."
But Mike wasn't listening. He was bolting it to the Burmaburg coast. Stations and shunting yards flashed by as his driver fought for control of the regulator. At the big station in Burmaburg, there were a pair of buffers on the other side of the turntable, just at the tail end of the shunting yards. Mike was still not paying any attention until he saw the buffers. Then everything happened at once. Mike found himself standing on the sand instead of the rails with the remains of the buffers behind him.
"Don't worry, Mike,"
called out his driver.
"I'll go phone for help."
Mike sighed. There had been a break, but not the one he had hoped for. Back at the Swahili Water Park Resort, Scott was still confused about what had happened as he backed down onto his coaches. Suddenly, he heard a blast of whistles and the clattering of equipment as Rashira and Grace the crane roared past. "Clear the tracks!" shouted Rashira. "Derailed engine at Burmaburg Beach!" "Oh, mind your speed!" called Grace. "My gears are rattling!" As Mike was lifted back onto the rails by Rashira and Grace, he saw that Rex and Bert were also there. They'd come to help repair the tracks and buffers beyond the turntable. "Well, Mike, you said you wanted a break from all the work you've been getting."
"But we never thought you would have it this way,"
finished Bert. "Well, if I must admit, it was all right," said Mike. "But I didn't think the only break that happened would be to a pair of buffers." The 3 engines laughed in agreement.
Welcome to Crotoonian Shoots, the program in which we see the railways of Crotoonia in all of its raw wonder. On today's journey, we'll be traveling back to the Bartlett Bay Salt Mines to see how they work.
you lot! There's no time to waste! We're falling behind schedule!
Whoa, cool your pistons there, Ralph. We're going as fast as we can. Cut us some slack.
We're on a very tight schedule, Leonard, so I want things done, and I want things done on time! Those slag cars should be empty by now! And Dip, put the pedal to the metal!
I'm on it, boss. I'll take a shortcut across the rails.
Oh no, not again, not again, not again, not again! Look out!
I got it! Why don't you watch where you're going, Puffball?
Huh? What the?
So, Ralph? Now that we're here, now that we're witnessing this, would now be a bad time to tell you that I think things work a little too well around this yard?
Quiet, you.
Huh? What was that? Well, what do you know? Looks like those slag cars have all been emptied. Isn't that what you wanted, Ralph?
I think I need a minute. There was a lot to take in at once.
Hey, Dip! That was really something you pulled off there. Only, do you think you could do it again? How about you unload those pipe wagons for us?
Welcome to Crotoonian Shoots, the program in which we see the railways of Crotoonia in all of its raw wonder. Get your finest climbing gear, because today we'll be exploring the workings of the Cliffstone Mountains.